The North remembers. We know no king, but the king in the North whose name is Stark. I don't care if he's a bastard. Ned Stark's blood runs through his veins. He's my king, from this day until his last day.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back for another Game of Thrones Season 8 prediction video. Today I wanted to talk about Howland Reed. Some of you are always asking me questions about him, so I figured it was time to make a video about this character that is shrouded in mystery. As I'm sure most of you know, Howland Reed is the father of Meera and Jojen Reed, and he is one of Ned Stark's most loyal bannermen. Howland Reed is a very interesting character, but we don't know a whole lot about him. In fact, his name only appears 13 times throughout all 5 books in the A Song of Ice and Fire series. Many fans have asked George R. R. Martin about this character and whether or not we would see him again. George has said that Howland Reed would have an important role in the books to come, but the main reason why we don't see Howland Reed early in the story is because he knows too much critical information. If Howland Reed showed up in the first book, he would be able to provide some of the answers to this story's greatest mysteries, and those things cannot be revealed just yet. Now that this story is coming close to its end, we may be seeing him again next season, but where is he at? And what has he been doing all of this time? What we do know is Howland Reed was with Ned during one of the most important moments in this entire story. When Lyanna Stark and Rhaegar Targaryen disappeared, everyone assumed Rhaegar had to have abducted Lyanna, and this led to Ned's father and brother going to King's Landing to have a little talk with the Mad King, but this did not end well for either one of them. The Mad King had both of them killed. After the sack of King's Landing and the siege of Storm's End, Howland and 5 other Northmen accompanied Ned Stark south to the Red Mountains in search of Lyanna. Howland Reed and Ned Stark were the only survivors of the combat at the Tower of Joy between the 7 Northmen and the 3 Knights of the Kingsguard. Ned later told Bran Stark that Howland had saved his life from Sir Arthur Dayne, who was known as one of the deadliest swordsmen at that time. Ned then finds Lyanna inside of the tower, laying in a bed of blood. He was with her as she died, and Howland was the one who found Ned, still holding Lyanna, and he was the person who took Lyanna's hand from Ned's. During Game of Thrones Season 6, we find out exactly what happened at the Tower of Joy. Ned was there to rescue Lyanna, but the Kingsguard were not about to allow him to enter the tower, so they had to fight to the death. During the fight, Sir Arthur Dayne was able to disarm Ned Stark, and he was moments away from delivering the fatal blow. That was until Howland Reed came up behind him and shoved a dagger into his neck. This allowed Ned Stark to get back to his feet and finish him off with his own sword. When Ned finds Lyanna inside of the tower, she is barely clinging to life. But before she dies, she has Ned promise her one thing, and that is to protect her son, Jon Snow. Ned had to live with this secret for the rest of his life, because if Robert Baratheon had ever found out who Jon truly was, he would have had him killed, so Ned took this secret to his grave. As of right now, Bran Stark and Samwell Tarly are the only other people who know that Jon Snow is actually Aegon Targaryen, the true heir to the Iron Throne. But how many people would actually believe their story? Everything that Bran has seen was seen during a vision, which makes it kinda hard to prove to other people who weren't there. And the information Sam found out only mentions a private wedding. It doesn't say anything about a child. This could mean that Howland Reed may be the only person alive that could testify that Jon Snow is not Ned's illegitimate son, but he's actually the child of Lyanna Stark and Rhaegar Targaryen. Because of course, Howland Reed was there, and he may even have the scars to prove it because he was also injured in the battle at the Tower of Joy. This could definitely back up Bran's claim about who Jon Snow truly is. But the big question still remains, where the hell is Howland Reed? Where has he been all of this time? And why has he never shown his face in the Starks' most desperate time of need, when he is said to be one of their most loyal bannermen? Howland Reed wasn't there when Robb Stark was named King in the North, and he wasn't there when Jon Snow was named King in the North either. Now I know this is something that fans have been wondering for quite some time, because some of you have even asked me this question yourself. One of the few mentions of Howland Reed was when we meet his children, Jojen and Meera. I could not find this scene in the show, but in the books, we learned that Howland sent his children to Winterfell after Jojen tells him of his dream about the winged wolf and the 3-eyed crow. There isn't any evidence that Howland Reed has green sight or green dreams, but he was aware of his son's abilities, and this led him to sending his children to Winterfell to look after Bran. We also know that Jojen was the one who informed Howland Reed of Ned Stark's death, because Jojen tells Bran how his father reacted to the news.
You have the sight too.
When I told my father about your father, the first time in my life I saw him cry.
Your father is Howland Reed?
Yeah.
Saved my father's life during the rebellion.
Father told you about the rebellion. Mine never did.
Even though we don't have any evidence of Howland Reed having green dreams or green sight, this doesn't mean he isn't capable of having these powers. We already know Howland Reed is great at keeping a secret, so perhaps he has some abilities of his own, and he has chosen to keep this a secret as well. One very interesting detail about Howland Reed is when he was around, let's say, the age of 16. He decided to go on a little adventure to seek out more knowledge about the Green Men and the Isle of Faces. Before the infamous tourney at Harrenhal, which set in motion Lyanna Stark and Rhaegar's relationship, Howland Reed traveled to the Isle of Faces to meet with the Green Men. He was there for a whole winter, but what secrets he learned remain unknown. It was after he left the God's Eye when his close friendship with the Starks began, but that might have just been a coincidence. There could be a specific reason Howland Reed was able to spend so much time with the Green Men, because as a Crannogman of the Neck, he might have a special connection with them. The Isle of Faces is a sacred place, where one of the most important events in Westeros' history occurred. The Isle of Faces is one of the last remaining places in the south of Westeros where one can find weirwood trees. The weirwoods all have faces carved into them from the time of the First Men, when they and the children made the pact. The faces were made so that the gods could witness it. It is also said to be the home of the Green Men. The Green Men tend to the trees and are said to be a source of insightful wisdom. Stories claim that they have green skin and antlers like deer, but maesters believe they simply wear green clothes and wear horned headdresses. It might also be where the last children of the forest are living, and I'm dying to know what Howland Reed found out while he was there. I think it is possible that he became friends with Ned and Lyanna by chance, but perhaps he found out some information from the children that sent him on a path of becoming intertwined with the Starks. Perhaps Howland Reed went to the Isle of Faces to awaken his own third eye. Maybe he was there practicing and learning how to use his own powers. This could be what led him to attend the tourney at Harrenhal, as he had seen in his dreams what may happen and how he has to be a part of the events. Or the Children of the Forest could have just told him. Either way, I don't think it's just a coincidence that Howland Reed visited the Isle of Faces. Then after he left, these chain of events unfolded. He must know something, which also makes sense why his son Jojen would also be given this power. When Mira Reed is telling Bran the story about her father, she says he could breathe mud and run on leaves, and change earth to water and water to earth, with no more than a whispered word. He could talk to trees and weave words, and make castles appear and disappear. The lad knew the magics of the Crannogmen, but wanted more. I don't know about you, but that sounds pretty damn impressive, and it sounds like something that could be useful in the wars to come. This might sound crazy, but can you imagine if Howland Reed showed up during the Great War, and he had an army of the Children of the Forest and Green Men from the Isle of Faces, all armed with dragonglass weapons, and magic that is capable of breaking the arm of Dorne. This could make for one hell of an official introduction for Howland Reed. We are led to believe he is still at his home in the Neck, but I don't think anyone knows if that's true or not. We know Catelyn and Robb both sent letters to Howland Reed, but I don't remember them actually receiving any word back. Mira Reed assumes her father is still there because when she left Bran, she told him she was going home to be with her family.
Maester Welkin built it for me, so I can move around more easily.
It's a very good idea.
You're leaving?
I don't want to leave you, but when they come, I need to be with my family. You're safe?
In my opinion, Mira made it sound like her and her family would stay at home when the White Walkers come, but I can't imagine them not playing some part in the Great War. I believe Howland Reed has been helping from the very beginning of the story, and even before the current story. He's helping with the Long Night. That's why he sent his kids to get Bran to the Three-Eyed Raven. He knows what is coming, and I hope he has a plan of his own prepared. When and if Howland Reed appears in the show next season, I think whatever Children of the Forest or green men that are left at the Isle of Faces will also be involved in some way, and I would love to see all of them play a part in the final battle against the Night King. I know some people believe the Great War will end at the Isle of Faces, but I'm not so sure about that. However, I do think if Bran Stark survives the war, this is where he will spend the remainder of his life. But I don't want to go down that rabbit hole in this video. Let me know what you think will happen next season. I know everyone always talks about Howland Reed showing up to tell Jon the truth about his parents, but what else could you see him doing? And where do you think he has been? Do you believe he could be at the Isle of Faces as we speak? And do you think he could show up with his own army of green men and Children of the Forest? Put all your thoughts down below. I want to thank everyone for watching the video. I really appreciate that, and I also want to thank all of my supporters on Patreon. May the old gods and the new look over each and every one of you. Have a great day. I will see you again very soon. Bye.